Too many of us are living beneath our calling because we're trapped in the prison of our own emotions. We react before we reflect. We explode before we evaluate. We're building our lives on feelings and not on truth. And I came to tell you, you've cried long enough. You've doubted long enough. You've danced with dysfunction long enough. It's time to grow up emotionally. We're not here to be controlled by mood swings. We're not here to be manipulated by guilt trips. We're not here to spend another day apologizing for emotions that haven't been healed. We are here to take back our minds, take back our peace, and walk in power with emotional discipline. The enemy doesn't need to ruin your life. He just needs to distract you with the wrong emotions. Some of you can't even enjoy your blessings because you're too busy feeling rather than functioning. You keep letting temporary feelings cost you permanent consequences. You're calling it loyalty, but it's emotional bondage. You're calling it love, but it's codependency. You're calling it patience, but it's a fear of confrontation. It's time to learn the difference. God cannot elevate a heart that refuses to be disciplined. When you let your emotions drive, your purpose takes a back seat. Hear me. You don't have to respond to everything that offends you. You don't have to react to every insult. You don't have to fight battles that don't align with your destiny. Emotional maturity is knowing when to be silent and when to stand up. I need you to understand this. You will not fulfill your calling by being emotionally fragile. Life will press you. People will misunderstand you. There will be betrayal, heartbreak, rejection. But you can't be driven by that. You have to be driven by vision. You can cry, yes. You can hurt, yes. You don't build your future in your feelings. Stop giving your energy to people who only want a reaction. Stop investing in people who only care when you're broken. You're not broken anymore. You're becoming. You're not foolish. You're freeing yourself from the illusion that every emotion needs a response. So I say it again. Stop being an emotional fool. You are more than your feelings. You are more than your triggers. You are more than the disappointments you went through. Get up. Wipe your face. Speak peace to your soul and walk like someone who knows who they are. There is no denying the reality of emotions. They are powerful, present, and persuasive. They rise like waves and crash like thunder. They pull us into places we didn't plan to visit and make us say things we didn't mean to speak. Emotions are real. They are not illusions, and they are not sins. God created emotions. He gave us the capacity to feel, to grieve, to rejoice, to laugh, to weep, to burn with righteous anger, and to overflow with joy. Emotions are human. They are gifts. But hear this with clarity. Emotions were never meant to rule you. There is a difference between having emotions and being ruled by them. When you are ruled by emotions, you lose the ability to choose wisely. You stop thinking strategically and start reacting impulsively. You don't walk by vision, you walk by volatility. You become a puppet and your feelings pull the strings. You become unstable. And even when you know the right thing to do, you choose what feels better instead of what is better. Being ruled by emotions makes you a prisoner of the present moment. It traps you in temporary reactions that often carry permanent consequences. Person ruled by emotion is easily offended, quickly discouraged, constantly drained, and frequently distracted. That is not the life God called you to live. You were created to walk in power, love, and a sound mind, not a storm of confusion and internal chaos. You are not called to be driven by emotion. You are called to be led by the Spirit. The Bible says, "He who rules his spirit is greater than one who conquers a city." That means it is more impressive to be emotionally disciplined than it is to have external success. Why? Because no matter how far you go in life, if you cannot manage your inner world, your emotions will sabotage your success. Some people are not being attacked by the devil. They are being undone by their own emotional instability. You can fast, you can pray, you can quote scripture, but if you keep being triggered by every offense, if you keep reacting out of pain, if you keep leading with hurt instead of healing, you will stay stuck in the same cycles. Let me tell you something, not every feeling is truth. Every tear means you're being mistreated. Not every hurt means you were wronged, and not every moment of sadness needs to be fed. There is a difference between acknowledging how you feel and allowing how you feel to lead your decisions. Emotions must be processed, not obeyed. They are indicators, not dictators. You must learn to sit with your emotions, examine them, and ask, is this feeling pointing me toward wisdom or dragging me toward destruction? Some people think being emotional is a personality trait. It's not. It's a lack of emotional boundaries. And if you don't discipline your emotions, you will constantly find yourself apologizing for things you said in anger, regretting decisions made in fear, and missing opportunities because you let anxiety paralyze you. Listen, Jesus felt emotions. He wept. He rejoiced. He became angry. He grieved. But he was never ruled by what he felt. He submitted his emotions to the will of the Father. In Gethsemane, when he was overwhelmed with sorrow, he didn't run. He didn't lash out. He prayed. He surrendered. He said, not my will, yours be done. That is emotional maturity. That is what we are called to walk in, not emotional collapse, not emotional outbursts. Emotional submission to a higher authority. You cannot trust your emotions more than you trust God's truth. You cannot trust your feelings more than you trust His word. Feelings will tell you to give up when God is saying press forward. Feelings will tell you to retaliate when God is telling you to forgive. Feelings will tell you you're worthless when God has already called you chosen. So which voice will you follow? When your life is ruled by emotions, you become unstable in your relationships. People can't count on you because your mood shifts like the wind. Your family doesn't know what version of you is walking through the door. Your friends have to walk on eggshells. You're hard to talk to because emotions speak louder than reason. And worst of all, you don't even trust yourself because deep down, you know you're not in control. You're reacting, not responding. You're surviving, not leading. You're feeling everything, but anchoring nothing. Let me declare this over your life. You are not crazy. You are not too emotional. You are not broken beyond repair, but you must learn how to manage what you feel so it doesn't manage you. It's time to build your life on truth, not tension. Purpose, not panic. On faith, not fear. Stop letting your past wounds write the script for your present relationships. Stop allowing temporary feelings to make permanent decisions. Stop saying, this is just how I am. No, it's how you've been trained to survive. But now, it's time to be transformed. The Bible says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your mind must lead, not your mood. This doesn't mean suppress your feelings. No, it means master them. It means submit them. It means you recognize that your emotions are passengers in the vehicle of your life, but you don't let them grab the wheel. Peace is possible. Stability is possible. Self-control is a fruit of the Spirit, and you can bear it in every season if you stay connected to God. This is your season to stop being tossed around by how you feel and start walking in who you are. You are not your anger. You are not your heartbreak. You are not your trauma. You are a child of God clothed in power and destined for victory. So the next time emotion rises up, don't deny it, but don't let it rule you either. Speak to your soul. Command your peace. Choose your focus. And walk like someone who understands this truth. You may have the degree. You may have the business plan. You may have the talent, the looks, the ambition. But without emotional maturity, everything you're building will remain vulnerable, because when emotions go unchecked, elevation turns into frustration. Success becomes sabotage. Progress stalls because the heart hasn't been healed and the spirit hasn't been trained. You don't lose in life because of lack of opportunity. You lose when your emotions are louder than your wisdom. Let's be real. Life is not going to wait for you to catch up emotionally. Responsibilities don't pause until your feelings align. The storm won't hold back just because your heart is tender. There will be days when your emotions scream for attention. They will demand a reaction. That's when you must reach deep down inside and say, not this time. Come too far to let my feelings lead me astray. Emotional maturity is a weapon. It protects you from overreacting to temporary situations. It guards your mouth when your mind is tempted to rage. It covers your integrity when your heart wants revenge. It stops you from settling for validation when you were born for purpose. Emotional maturity is what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck in cycles of drama, dysfunction, and disappointment. People think maturity is about age, but there are 45-year-old people acting like 15-year-olds in emotional conflict. There are people with powerful resumes and weak spirits, highly gifted but easily offended, publicly strong, privately fragile. And until we grow emotionally, we will keep repeating the same relational failures, spiritual battles, and career collapses. You cannot go where your emotions haven't been trained to handle. There are levels of influence that require you to remain calm while you're being criticized. There are platforms that require you to bless those who curse you and still lead with grace. There are doors opening for you that will close just as fast if you bring your trauma instead of your training. Some of you are not waiting on a blessing. Your blessing is waiting on your emotional growth. God is ready to promote you, but can He trust you not to panic when things go wrong? Can He trust you to forgive when you're wounded? Can He trust you not to clap back, not to broadcast your betrayal, not to live on social media proving points to people who don't matter? We don't talk enough about the fact that healing is part of maturity. Unhealed people bleed on people who didn't cut them. They project their fears. They sabotage their own happiness. They reject real love because their emotions have been shaped by trauma, not truth. But when you commit to emotional growth, something shifts. You stop expecting others to fix what only you can heal. You stop justifying broken behavior with, "This is just how I am." You stop excusing chaos with, "They made me do it." No, mature people take responsibility. Make no mistake, emotional maturity is spiritual warfare. The enemy doesn't always attack your finances or your health. Sometimes he just sends a person who knows how to trigger your insecurities. Sometimes he whispers lies in your feelings and makes them louder than your faith. Sometimes he sets a trap, not with temptation, but with offense. And if you're not emotionally mature, you'll take the bait every time. I dare you to grow to the point where your peace can't be stolen. I dare you to rise to the place where your emotions are submitted to the Holy Spirit, where your past no longer dictates your reactions, where you don't just pray for elevation, but for endurance, for discipline, for emotional strength. That's when you become dangerous to the enemy, because he can't manipulate a mature believer. You want to know how powerful emotional maturity is. It allows you to see clearly when others are clouded. It helps you love people who are hard to love. It teaches you to pause before you speak, to forgive before you're asked, to release offense before it festers. It allows you to endure criticism without losing confidence, to walk away from foolishness without explaining yourself. That's not weakness. That's power under control. Care enough. The emotionally mature don't chase validation. They move with clarity. They don't explode over every offense. They discern what's worth their energy. Care enough. They don't throw tantrums. They anchor themselves in. Don't let disappointments redefine their identity. They process, they pray, care enough, and they persevere. Hear me. Your emotional maturity will preserve your future. If you don't learn how to control your emotions, care enough, your emotions will control your destiny. They'll make you quit too soon, love the wrong people, stay in the rooms, say the wrong things enough, and lose what God had for you. That's why the fight for emotional maturity is not optional. It's essential. Care enough. Some of the greatest battles you will face in life won't be external. They will be internal. It won't be the betrayal. It'll be your response. And Karen, it won't be the opportunity. It'll be your patience. Care enough, it won't be the enemy. It'll be your inability to sit in silence and trust God when everything looks uncertain. Care enough. That's where emotional maturity becomes your greatest weapon. Equips you to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with wounds. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all together. But you do have to be committed to growth. Stop coddling your chaos. Stop feeding your frustration. Stop celebrating your survival and start investing in your healing. You are too powerful to keep living in the shadow of emotional immaturity. Your peace is too expensive to give away every time someone disrespects you. Care enough. Your destiny is too great to be delayed by a moment of anger. Your calling is deep to be derailed by people who don't see your worth. And care enough. And you're not a child anymore. You've been too much. You've cried too long. You've prayed too hard. Care enough. It's time to grow up emotionally and take your seat in power. So today, draw a line in the sand. Tell your soul, we're not going back. Care enough. We're not reacting the same way. We're not folding under pressure. Care enough. We're not breaking down. We're supposed to break through. Emotional maturity is not just about self-control. It's about spiritual authority. And when you master it, nothing the enemy throws at you can move you from your position. Because at the end of the day, emotional maturity is your weapon. Wield it wisely, walk in it daily, and watch how your life begins to shift from chaos to clarity, from panic to purpose, from reaction to revelation. Care enough. There comes a point in your life when you must take inventory, not of your bank account, not of your wardrobe, but of your relationships. Care enough. You've been pouring out, you've been sacrificing, you've been loyal, but somewhere in the silence of your soul, you know something's off. Care enough, and you're calling it loyalty or love. You're calling it ride or die commitment. But if you're honest, it's dysfunction that's been dressed up as devotion. Too many people are trapped in toxic relationships. One-sided friendships, care enough, are draining family dynamics, not because they're bad people, but because they've been conditioned to confuse choice with connection. And care enough, you grew up thinking love had to hurt. That abuse was passion. That being used was a form of being needed. But the truth is, care enough, dysfunction is not loyalty, it's bondage. And the longer you stay in it, the more you begin to lose yourself in it. Loyalty is not about how much pain you can tolerate. Loyalty is not about staying with people who refuse to grow. Loyalty is not abandoning your mental health. Care enough, your boundaries, your voice, and your value just to prove that you're not a quitter. Listen to me. You can be loyal and still walk away. Care enough. You can love someone and still release them. You can honor what you had, destroying yourself trying to keep what no longer serves you. Care enough. A real loyalty doesn't demand silence in the face of mistreatment. It doesn't require you to shrink so someone else can shine. It doesn't call you to betray yourself in order to protect someone else's comfort. If you have to lose yourself to keep them. And care enough, it's not loyalty, it's dysfunction wearing a mask. Some of you have been loyal to cycles, not people. And care enough, you've been loyal to the pattern of rescue and brokenness. You've been loyal to the idea that suffering earns you love. Enough. You've been loyal to emotional manipulation disguised as family. You keep showing up for people who only show up when they need something from you. You keep defending the behavior that's been destroying your peace. Why? Because somewhere in your soul, you equated endurance with hollowness and pain with purpose. But let me set you free. God did not call you to bleed for people who refuse to bandage their own wounds. Care enough. There's a difference between supporting someone and saving them. Loyalty doesn't mean sacrificing your sanity every time they self-destruct. Care enough. It doesn't mean being a punching bag for someone's unresolved trauma. And care enough. It doesn't mean enduring disrespect because they've been through a lot. Everybody's been through something, and care enough. But trauma doesn't give you the right to treat people like trash. And care enough. And you don't earn any extra crowns in heaven for staying where you're constantly being crushed enough. You've been calling dysfunction loyalty because walking away feels selfish. But it's not selfish to protect your soul. It's not betrayal to put up boundaries, not cruelty to say enough. In fact, some of the most loyal thing you'll ever do is tell someone, I love you, but I can't do this like this anymore, because true love confronts. True love corrects. Care enough. True love doesn't enable dysfunction. It empowers growth. Let me speak to the one who's been carrying everyone's weight. You've been the rock. Care enough, the listener, the helper, the fixer, but deep down you're exhausted. You don't seem, you feel used. You don't feel supported. You feel drained. And yet you stay because they need you. Because you've always been there. Because you're afraid that choosing you means betraying them. Care enough. But hear this, you are not their savior. You are their source. You are not their solution. God never told you to abandon your boundaries in the name of love. Care enough. He never told you to carry relationships that are killing your peace. You've been loyal out of fear of being alone, fear of guilt, fear of rejection. But when you confuse fear with faithfulness, you end up stuck in places that God has been trying to deliver you from. You owe no one your destruction. You owe no one your silence. You know when your breakdown just so they can stay comfortable in their dysfunction. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to wake up one day and say, this is not healthy, and I can't do this anymore. That's not betrayal. That's wisdom. Loyalty without discernment becomes a trap. You start ignoring red flags because you feel responsible for their healing. You start accepting behavior you'd never tolerate if your self-worth was intact. You keep watering a relationship that stopped bearing fruit years ago. Ain't care enough. You pray for peace, but you're still sleeping next to war. You ask God to bless you, but you're clinging to connections He's been asking you to cut. And care enough. Some people only love you when you're broken. They only connect with you through crisis. They only stay if they're in control. That's not love. Care enough. That's emotional codependency. That's spiritual manipulation. That's psychological bondage. And the moment you begin to heal, the moment you set a boundary, care enough, the moment you stop playing the role they assign to you, they turn on you. Not because you changed, but because they never loved the real you. Care enough. They love the version of you they could control. You don't owe your future to people who are addicted to your past. Care enough. You don't owe your destiny to people who keep you small. You don't owe your calling to people who can't celebrate you unless you're broken. Care enough. It's time to redefine loyalty. Loyalty is commit with clarity. Loyalty is standing with people, not at the cost of your soul. Care enough. Loyalty is staying true to your values, not staying stuck in dysfunction. Loyalty means loving people, but loving yourself enough to walk away if loving them means losing you. There is life beyond toxic loyalty. There is freedom beyond false obligation. There is peace beyond pretending everything is okay. And there is healing on the other side of hard decisions. So today, choose truth, choose grow, choose boundaries, choose discernment, choose you. Let them call you disloyal. Let them say you changed. Let them talk. Care enough. Because at the end of the day, you didn't leave them. You just stopped leaving yourself. There's something dangerous happening inside of us. Something subtle. Something quiet. And if you're not careful, you'll live your entire life responding to every emotional whisper, every passing mood, every fleeting offense, every storm of irritation, as if every feeling requires your energy. Some things must be felt, but not fed. Acknowledge it, yes, and process it, absolutely. But don't hand it the keys to your behavior. Don't let your entire mood, your day, your relationship, and care enough, or your calling be hijacked by a feeling that didn't come to stay. It just came to pass. Too many of us have trained our minds to believe that every emotional spark needs to be followed by a verbal explosion. We feel slighted, so we clap back. We feel angry, so we act up. We feel anxious, so we retreat. We feel jealous, so we criticize. We feel insecure, so we compare and care enough. And then we justify our reaction with phrases like, that's just how I felt in the moment. Yes, but maturity is learning that not every moment is worth responding to. Some feelings are nothing more than emotional impulses, temporary distortions that scream for attention but lack foundation. And care enough. You must learn to pause before you respond. You must learn to wait before you react. And because a response may satisfy your flesh for a moment but cost you peace for a week. A reaction might feel good in the heat of the fire, but it will leave you cleaning up ashes for years. Don't mistake emotional release for emotional relief. Care enough. Just because you got it off your chest doesn't mean you're healed. Just because you reacted doesn't mean you're righteous. Just because you told them how you feel doesn't mean you told them the truth. Truth is not always in the emotion. It's in the reflection. You see, care enough. The enemy doesn't always attack you with tragedy. Sometimes he attacks you with triggers. And if he can't steal your calling, he'll settle for stealing your composure. If he can't destroy your future, he'll settle for making you so emotionally reactive that you keep destroying it yourself. Care enough. Some of you have lost years to feelings that were never meant to be acted on. You've burned bridges you needed. You've spoken words you couldn't take back. And care enough. You've walked away from divine assignments because a temporary feeling convinced you it wasn't worth it. But now you're waking up. Now you're learning. Care enough. Now you're beginning to understand you don't have to act on everything you feel. You can feel angry and still choose grace. You can feel hurt and still choose silence. You can feel overlooked and still walk in purpose. You can feel attacked and still respond with peace. Care enough. You can feel everything, but still do the right thing. The problem is, most of us were never taught emotional discipline. We were taught how to react. Care enough. We were taught that if you don't say something right away, you're weak. That if you let it slide, you're soft. That if you don't respond, care enough, you're being walked over. But that's not wisdom, that's ego. And ego will always trade long-term peace for short-term satisfaction. Care enough. So let me ask you, how many times have you let your emotions speak for you, only to regret the conversation? Care enough. How many moments of peace have you surrendered because you didn't pause to ask yourself, is this worth it? Not just worth the words. Is it worth your energy, your peace, your future, your witness? Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every insult is yours to answer. Enough. Not every comment is yours to correct. Some of you are losing energy fighting battles that God never assigned to you. Battles that were born out of emotion, not out of purpose. It's not that your feelings are wrong. Your emotions are real. You're human. But being human doesn't give you permission to be reckless. Care enough. Your feelings may be valid, but they are not always valuable. That means they are worth recognizing, but not always worth obeying. But care enough. Maturity is learning to observe your emotions without obeying them. Maturity is learning to be still while your soul is screaming. Care enough. Maturity is understanding that your silence is not weakness. It's wisdom. You're not ignoring your feelings. You're outgrowing the need to serve them. Care enough. You're not burying your emotions. You're learning how to rule over them. You're not suppressing. You're surrendering your reactions to a greater purpose. Enough. When Jesus stood before the crowd that shouted, "Crucify him," he didn't react. When the enemy tempted him in the wilderness, he didn't argue. When Judas kissed him in betrayal, he didn't curse. That's divine restraint. That's what emotional mastery looks like. Care enough. That's what strength rooted in purpose looks like. The power of your life isn't in how loud you react. It's in how deeply you choose peace. Care enough. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to match their energy. You don't have to fire back every time you're fired upon. Some of your greatest battles will be won, not by what you say, but by what you refuse to say. Is this leading me close to purpose or pulling me into a pit? Is this emotion rooted in fear or faith? Is this battle mine or is it bait? Your ability to walk in purpose is directly connected to your ability to control your emotions. And care enough, the next level God is taking you to requires a new level of discipline. And in this season, you're gonna have to learn to guard your peace. Protect your focus and stop giving your energy to every passing emotion. There is a battle that many of us are losing quietly. Not because we lack faith. Care enough. Not because we lack prayer. Not because we lack gifts or calling. Because we are too emotionally childish to hear from God. And care enough. You've been asking for direction. You've crying out for answers. You've been praying for clarity. And God has not stopped speaking. The problem is, and care enough, you can't hear him over the sound of your own emotional noise. There is too much turbulence in your soul. Too many thoughts flying in and out. And care enough. Too many wounds you haven't healed. Too many offenses you've held on to. Too many opinions shaping your mind. Too much frustration clouding your focus. And care enough. In the middle of that storm, you're expecting divine clarity. But let me tell you something with love and boldness. God does not shout over chaos. He speaks in stillness. He leads in peace. He instructs in order. The word says, "Be still and know that I am God." That's not just a poetic verse for tough times. It's a spiritual principle. Stillness isn't about the absence of activity. It's about the absence of inner disorder. Because clarity does not come to a restless mind. Revelation doesn't land in a heart that's divided. Guidance doesn't flow in a soul bouncing between anxiety, bitterness, and fear. Emotional chaos is not just spiritually dangerous. It causes you to misinterpret what God is doing. When you're emotionally overwhelmed, care enough, you start calling delays denials. You start viewing correction as rejection. You start confusing conviction with condemnation. Care enough, you'll walk away from places you were meant to stay. You'll stay in situations you were supposed to leave. Care enough, you'll bind what was meant to bless and bless what was meant to break you. Why? Because you're interpreting divine movement through emotional mayhem. Let me say that again for the people in the back. You can't trust your discernment when you're in emotional survival mode. When your heart is full of rage, when your thoughts are tangled in fear, when your spirit is warm from people pleasing, when your soul is flooded with grief and unhealed trauma, you're not hearing God, you're hearing your wounds. You're not being led by the Spirit. You're being pushed by pain. Fair enough. You can't follow the voice of the Lord when the loudest voice in your life is your frustration. Care enough. You can't perceive purpose clearly when your vision is filtered through past betrayal. That's why the enemy doesn't always need to attack your finances. Care enough, your body or your relationship. Sometimes all he needs to do is keep you emotionally chaotic, because a chaotic heart is just as dangerous as a closed ear. Some of you keep praying for clarity, but Go is calling you to emotional cleansing. You're asking him to speak, but he's trying to settle you first. You're asking him to open doors, but he's trying to quiet the war within you. Because even if the door opens, care enough, you'll fumble if you're too emotionally unstable to walk through with wisdom. You don't need another prophecy. You need peace and care enough. You need another sign. You need stillness. You don't need more opinions. You need obedience. You don't need everyone's input. You need to filter the voices, because some of the confusion you're feeling isn't spiritual warfare. It's emotional warfare. Care enough. You're not under attack from hell. You're under attack from within. Your unprocessed trauma, your buried anger, your people-pleasing tendencies. Care enough. Your inability to say no. Your constant need to prove yourself. That's the challenge that's blocking your clarity. Care enough. You can't walk in divine timing if you're running on emotional impulse. You can't live by God's pace if you're always in panic mode. Enough. Panic will have you rushing what God wants to develop. Panic will have you grabbing Ishmael when God promised Isaac. Panic will have you moving too soon, speaking too fast, reacting too hard, and regretting too much. The mature believer doesn't just pray for blessings. They pray for balance. Because even if God gives it to you, can you handle it without falling apart emotionally? Can you lead without needing applause? And care enough, can you stay consistent when you're misunderstood? Can you discern truth when flattery comes dressed like favor? Care enough. And listen, this isn't about pretending to be okay. This isn't about suppressing how you feel. Care of it. This is about surrendering how you feel to the one who can stabilize you. This is about healing, not hiding, processing, not pretending. Care enough. It's about in God dig into the corners of your soul and uproot the noise you've been living with for too long. Because your purpose requires clarity. Your next move requires clarity. Your relationships require clarity. Your decisions, your parenting, your leadership, and your creativity, it all flows from a clear spirit. And you cannot afford to keep living in confusion just because you refuse to quiet the chaos. This is your call to slow down, to shut down the noise, to step back from the drama, to cancel the performance, to unplug from the expectations, to close your eyes and lift your hands and say, God, I surrender the trials. I give you my confusion. I give you my wounded feelings. I give you my anxious thoughts. I lay down the noise so I can pick up clarity. He's not hiding from you. He's waiting for you to get still enough to hear him. He's not withholding from you. He's teaching you how to receive with wisdom. He's not punishing you. He's positioning you for peace. Because peace doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you're not controlled by what you feel. It means you're grounded enough to discern what's real. And divine clarity only comes to the soul that is rooted in that kind of peace. So today, release the chaos. Refuse to let your emotions take the driver's seat. Stop making impulsive decisions based on temporary pain and start living from a posture of stillness, strategy, and spiritual discernment. And the truth is, care enough. You cannot live with open doors and expect to have a quiet house. You cannot allow just anyone into your heart, your mind, your space. Care enough and still expect to dwell in peace, because peace isn't magic. Peace isn't luck. Peace is a product of boundaries. You don't get peace just by lighting a candle, meditating, or whispering affirmations into the air. You get peace when you decide, this is what I will allow, and this is what I will not. Peace requires fences, requires decisions. It requires self-respect. It requires you to confront what's been allowed too long and tolerated too often. Enough. The reason so many of us feel exhausted isn't we're doing too much work. It's because we're carrying too many people, tolerating too many voices, care enough, and giving too much access to hearts that haven't earned the right to be that close. Your peace is your responsibility. You don't owe your peace to anyone. It is not there protected. It's yours. And the moment you realize that, you will stop blaming other people for your anxiety, your burnout, your anger, and your fatigue. Because boundaries aren't about them, they're about you. Peace comes when you stop answering every text. Peace comes when you stop saying yes out of guilt. Peace comes when you stop giving people discounts on access to you. Peace comes when you say, I love you, but I need space. Peace comes when you refuse to be manipulated by emotional guilt, and instead you choose to protect the calling God placed inside you. We were not designed to say yes to everything and everyone. Jesus had boundaries. He slipped away from the crowds. He said no, he delayed. He rested. He chose when to speak and when to be silent. Care enough. He healed many, but he didn't heal everybody, because even the Savior understood purpose requires protection. You can't keep allowing toxic conversations, draining people, drama-filled relationships, and then ask God, why am I so overwhelmed? God is not going to guard what you won't confront. You have to make a decision. Do I want their approval, or do I want my peace? Because you can't have both. Care enough, let's be honest. Some of us were raised to believe that saying a no is selfish, that boundaries are mean, that putting yourself first is ungodly. But that is a lie that will keep you stuck in cycles of burnout and brokenness. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Care enough. You are not required to bleed emotionally just to maintain a relationship. You are allowed, yes, allowed, to saying boundaries are not walls that keep love out. Enough. Boundaries are gates that protect what's sacred within you. Your time is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Your anointing is sacred. Your peace is sacred. Care enough. And when you don't protect sacred things, don't be surprised when people treat them as common. If you don't define your boundaries, care enough, someone else will define your limits. If you don't know what your no is, someone will assume your yes is always available. If you keep showing up when you're empty, people will believe you're never drained. But just because you're strong doesn't mean you're not suffering. Peace comes when you finally stop pretending you're okay with things you're not okay with. Care enough. When you stop shrinking yourself to keep someone else from feeling small. When you stop over-explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Peace is birthed in the moment you choose your mental and spiritual health over the pressure to be liked. And care enough. Some of the warfare you're fighting isn't demonic. It's the absence of boundaries. It's the conversations you didn't shut down. It's the access you didn't limit. It's what you keep trying to carry when God said, let them go. Not because you're bitter and care enough. Not because you're cold. Because you finally understand that peace is not the result of passivity. It's the result of intentional protection. Peace is not passive, timid. It's not Timbo. It's decisive. It draws lines in the sand and says, no more of that here. Not in my home. And care enough, not my mind, not in my spirit, not in my relationships, not in my phone, not in my schedule. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be mean. You must be clear, because vagueness invites violation. Silence gives consent. Tolerance without boundaries becomes trauma. Let me tell you something else. Care enough. Peace will cost you something. It may cost you some relationships. It may cost you some invitations. It may cost you people who once relied on your lack of boundaries. It may cost you the version of yourself that was always available, always fixing, always pouring, always exhausted. But the version of you that chooses peace is healthier, stronger, wiser, more focused, more aligned with God. And yes, peace might make you lonely for a season, because when you finally set boundaries enough, the people who benefited from your lack of them will call you different. And guess what? They're right. You are different. You've grown up. You've healed. You've awakened, matured. And now you realize peace is not just a feeling. It's a boundary-protected lifestyle. Don't ask for peace and then invite chaos to dinner. Don't pray for peace and then scroll through disorder. Don't speak peace and then live in obligation. So today, take it back. Take your peace back. Say what needs to be said. Let go of what no longer fits. Make decisions that align with your healing. And stop apologizing for doing what keeps you sane and stable.